Hey everybody, welcome back to Youngster Cop. We are here tonight for our special Liverpool versus Chelsea preview. So tonight we've got two special guests joining us to give us a Chelsea perspective. We've got Andrew. How you doing, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. Thanks for inviting me. Looking forward to discussing this.
Thanks for coming on. And we've got Prime, the man himself. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, thank you. Appreciate the invite. Thank you for having me on.
Perfect. All right, so yeah, we'll dive straight into it. Obviously Chelsea have been probably one of the most active teams this summer. And I know Chelsea fans must be buzzing. You got Lukaku, you're close to getting a Kunde. I think that's going through. And then also you've done, just before we get onto the players you've sold, you've done really well in terms of selling players as well. Get both perspective. We'll start with you, Prime. How are you feeling about Chelsea's? You obviously won the Champions League. Now you've got these two signings. How are you feeling of your signings in terms of did you get everything you wanted, or were there still players that you're thinking we should have done this in terms of business?
The priority was getting the striker. We did that. I still think we need two players. I still think I don't fully trust our defense. Not our defense. I don't trust some of our individuals in terms of our centre backs, and I still think our midfield needs some depth towards it. But as of right now, if the window was to close and we don't get another player, I don't fully trust our defense. Not our defense. I don't trust some of our individuals.
What is going on?
I don't know.
That's not me.
So I don't know. No, I don't know what's going on there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I know what's going on there.
As I said, I don't. If the window's to end right now, I'd be okay with it. I still wouldn't make us favourites to win the league. Like I said, we still need another centre back, and we need another midfielder to come in terms of depth. Because I think if we get one injury, our whole system could fall apart.
Interesting. What about you, Andrew? How are you feeling of the whole transfers?
I'm feeling pretty good. I was like some of the Chelsea fan base until Lukaku signed. Was wondering what was going on. I feel pretty good. I'm relaxed. I'm liking what we're doing. I think Kunde will get done. The midfielder one's mixed reaction because apparently Saul's now staying at Atletico Madrid. But I don't know if that means that Chelsea pulled out because they're going to line up someone like Tchouaméni because Monaco aren't in the Champions League anymore. That needs to happen because we need to rotate in the midfield. That is the weakest area of the team because of the options there after Kovacic is not for me. I'm not confident in. The striker was the priority, had to be the priority to get in. I'm finally glad we got Lukaku in. The defense is I'm not like Prime. I do trust the defense. I think it's the best in the league under Tuchel. Let me preference that. It has been the best in the league and Tuchel. I think it is. Let me just say I think it's up there as the best in the league at the moment.
Do you trust
one of them?
Sorry, Andrew. Is it? I trust our structure. Remember, under Lampard, I kept screaming that we don't have a defensive structure.
Yeah.
So I trust Tuchel's structure. I just don't trust our individuals. I think.
The reason is I can understand why you might be saying that before, but I think they smell like smoke because they've been through fire this season and they'll come out tougher. So Rudiger is tougher. Christensen has come out leaps and bounds. Thiago Silva. We're not even. I was on a stream before. I didn't even discuss Thiago starting against Liverpool on the weekend. That's how much I think the defence is stacked. Aspilicueta there, Reece James, Chilwell, Alonso. But I just think it is. I think we're good. We're good. The squad is looking healthy without the additions of Kunde and a midfielder at the moment. But I expect them to be done by the transfer window ending. So I'm pretty pleased, and the outgoings as well. Spectacular outgoings. Some of the prices that Marina's got, and anyone who wanted her out, you need to sort yourself out because she has done some excellent work getting these. I know some of them might be online, but just the options to buy as well. It needed to happen. So it's been a big overhaul of the squad. So I'm very happy at this moment in time.
Yeah, just before we go into the next part, just everyone, thank you for joining. Do like, subscribe if you haven't done. Good to see you, Finn. Good to see you, Shishos. Yeah, so going on to that, like, I know you probably, I think it was about around 100 million you spent, but you recruited around 73 million. I think I saw in terms when I looked earlier. And I think as well, even with your outgoings, you've done really well. Like some of the signings you sold, like Timora, Abraham. You know, you got some good prices for them. So I think like us Liverpool fans, we normally say like we love Michael Edwards and we think he's a genius. Like he's done some amazing business. But I think this summer Maria's been amazing for you guys. Like and I did see like someone there today, Chelsea fans saying her out, and I was thinking like, what? Like, have they seen the business she's done? Like, what are you talking about Maria out for? Like, and I was like, okay, some people are never satisfied, but just going from you guys, like, Prime, like, how are you feeling over in terms of the outgoings?
No, I'm sorry, I'm interjecting there. Some people are never satisfied. Says you.
Not to the point. I wouldn't say.
You. Hot kettle black. Oh my God. You are never happy.
I am happy.
You liar. You are never happy. I'm sorry, but shut your face.
Moving on.
Wow.
Yeah, so Prime, how do you feel about in terms of the outgoings? Like,
phenomenal. Marina is the best in the business of what she does. People can sometimes make the debate of, sometimes we may bring in players that flop, but that's not really down to her. She's just there to negotiate the best possible deal. And she's done that. Even with, for example, I know Kepa flopped, but in terms of the contract we brought him in on and tying him down to a 7-year deal, like what had happened previously, like with Courtois and Costa and their whole situation, at the time, it's a good deal. Now, hindsight is, whatever, and he's a bad player or whatever you want to call him. But at the time, it is a great deal. Bringing in Lukaku for 97 odd million, being able to sell Hazard in his final year for 100 mil plus add-ons, it's crazy. Being able to get Koundé now, I think, for about 50 mil when he costs probably 60 or more. Like, she's phenomenal. And the Chelsea fans who are just so reactionary on her, like especially with us not getting Haaland, and then a few days later or about a week or so later the news all comes out about why and how much he's going to cost. Haaland demands 50 mil a year on wages, and you have to pay 40 mil a year to Mina Raiola. It's stupid for us to spend that to get him, and even at that she still tried everything she could to get him, and it's just not possible. So people fans who don't respect her for what she does, I sometimes question, are you actually a Chelsea fan? I know that sounds harsh, but
Yeah, I agree. They'll deny it. They still think an undertone of being Marina that she's a woman, and that's why they give her such grief, because people might say, we had to go at Michael Imanalo, who was in it before, but nothing like this. I mean, especially now, she's done a fantastic job. I mean, the overturn of the squad already in the last 2 years since the transfer ban, sorry. And yeah, she's there to do a job. I mean, I don't know what it is. It's like, if Roman Abramovich trusts her, why don't you trust her? You always back Roman Abramovich. You love what Abramovich does. Most important, for me, the most important man in our club's history. That goes without saying. So if you trust him to do right by the club, then you've got to trust who he puts in charge to run the club. And that's what I mean. So she's done magnificent this summer. I know we've had a lot of loan deals and everything like that, but she got 20 million for Mark Guehi from Crystal Palace. He's not played a single Premier, or he's not played like a full Premier League game. He's got you've got stuff for Livramento out there. Okay, he might have signed for 5 million, but I like what they're doing now. They're putting buyback clauses or first refusal clauses on this, which they didn't do before, and they haven't done for Tomori, which I might come back to bite us. But I just think she's done a magnificent job. And anyone saying Marina out now, I've got no time for you, really. I really have got no time for you. It's a waste of time. Absolutely waste of time.
If you want her gone, then tell me out there who's better. And then we'll try
if she went to Liverpool right now, Derek Origi would have been sold 2 years ago.
Oh.
The
south. No, we do not disrespect Michael Edwards on this podcast. Don't come in here with your blue blood and you do not come in here with blue blood and start slagging off.
Just saying, would have been gone.
You go and find someone who wants to look at you who does not.
She'd find someone. She'd find like a Russian team or something.
She's managed to get double what we paid for Bakayoko on loan wages. She can find someone for Origi. Come on.
12 million loan for Barkley.
She got a club to pay 60 mil for Morata. She can find someone for
Michael Edwards.
Don't
Marina.
Yeah.
Right, hang on.
Marina's a champion.
That's better. Instead of putting back in. I have the button. They give me the button. Sorry.
We're gonna sidestep that comment.
No, we're gonna put that on here. Thank you.
We're gonna sidestep that and move on. Okay, because okay. Sidestep that.
I will give it to you.
Yeah.
Well, shut up and making a point. Shush. I'm being positive. I'm being nice to you. We should both say, I will give it to you. You've done really well in this transfer window to get rid of dead weight and to bring players in, especially with bringing in Romelu Lukaku. So hats off to you for that.
Yeah.
You managed to get rid of the dead weight that we can't shift at the minute. So well done, you. Now you can make your question or point behind me.
I'll just read out some here. The Big Lounge, good to see you, mate. Winter Surfer, good to see you, mate. Oh, yes, just moving on. So you won the first 2 games. You know, you had a good win against Arsenal, who were obviously at the same time tragic, terrible performance from Arsenal.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling, obviously, going into it, you know, when you think about, those 2 games overall? We'll start with you, Andrew.
I think for both teams, this is where the season really begins because it's the hardest game for both teams on paper at the start of the season. Whereas I thought, Liverpool were very comfortable. I know Burnley had a couple of chances, but Liverpool were very comfortable. And Norwich is the team you just slap every time you play them. So it's like ridiculous. I don't even know why they turn up. Well, they don't actually turn up, but it's just that 3-0 is like the minimum score, isn't it? Really, it could have been 6 or 7. Palace gave us a tougher game than Arsenal did, but we dominated Palace, and Arsenal were just.
Arsenal.
I said to Prime that was like going to a bottom of the half table team last week, just totally dominating them. We didn't need to exert ourselves either. Everyone goes, "Oh, well, I wish we would have scored more goals." It's like, why do we need to exert ourselves this early in the season? We got the 3 points. We've got a clean sheet. Another 2 goals. But this is the real test. This is a real test. Liverpool have come back. They got their full strength team, full strength squad nearly back, and it's going to be a fascinating battle. Is Klopp still going to play a high line?
Yes.
I don't know if Klopp's still going to play. Has he learned? The midfield battle is going to be key, I think.
My biggest thing is I've never feared playing you.
Yeah.
I've never feared, and I still don't.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I'm not going into tomorrow going, I'm actually a bit worried about Chelsea because I just said it I was just on another podcast earlier.
Yeah.
And everyone, I know Romelu Lukaku is a very good striker. I know he's very clinical. I know he's very strong, and he has the pace to back it up. There's no denying that. But people have suddenly lost their heads and are acting like our defensive line has never come up against Lukaku before.
Yeah.
We've come up against Lukaku many a times and pocketed them. So I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about your right backs or your defence. That's aging and as slow as hell. I'm not worried about Christensen or Thiago Silva. I'm really not concerned that our forwards can't break through yet. So on paper, yes, it's a big game because it's 2 big clubs. And you know what? I might be eating my words. It might be a harder game tomorrow than I'm anticipating. But I just don't see. I don't fear Chelsea. I never have.
I'd say this and that. Like, I think the Chelsea are a very good team, very strong.
Yeah.
I just don't fear them.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I think obviously they're a very strong team, but I think the media have gone overboard with how they praise Lukaku. Like, as good as he is, let's do the Euros. He didn't have the best Euros.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry, he didn't have the best what?
Euros. He wasn't that great at Euros.
Did you watch him in the Euros?
Yeah, it wasn't that great.
Are you sure? Okay.
It wasn't for me. It wasn't that great. Okay. But then obviously I'm saying he's good, but let's be risky. I've obviously some of the takes of like, how's Van Dijk going to handle it? Matip going to handle it? I mean, look, we need to get the high line stuff as well, about the high line. But you have to remember, these two have played against Lewandowski, Messi, Suarez, Kane, all these players and pocketed them and had them in that pocket. So why can't they do Lukaku? As good as Lukaku is, he's not the best striker ever.
Old man Lewandowski, old man Suarez, old man Messi.
Lewandowski's top goal scorer.
He
played against Kane, who plays for Spurs, so that doesn't really count either. This is Lukaku in his prime. Lukaku in his prime. Keep in mind.
You're going off age. You're saying that age is a factor, that our defence is only able to stop really strong strikers when they're past a certain age. Okay, so I'm going to be that twat.
That's not what I said, though. That's not what I said.
Let's go. Lewandowski, old. Suarez, old. Were they not the words that just left your mouth?
I said they're old. I didn't say you can only stop old strikers.
You've used old strikers as a thing that we are only able to do.
Because that's who he mentioned. Those are the players that he mentioned. So I just replied back.
Okay.
Honestly, listen, can you guys stop Lukaku possibly?
Yeah.
In terms of scoring, maybe, but in having an impact on the game, no.
Oh, no. He's going to have an impact on the game. Yeah. He's going to change your dynamic massively. We're going to have to adapt. And we're going to have to really change our game around stopping Romelu Lukaku getting through. We know that. But my thing is, I'm not worried about him getting through, because I know when he gets through, he's got to go through Virgil and Matip and then through Alisson if he gets through that. And I just don't see it worrying me. And then you've got Robbo, who's going to be back as well, and Fabinho, and the captain.
You're going to force Robertson in.
I feel like you're going to
play Robertson.
Lukaku.
The Robertson machine.
You're going to play Robertson when he's just come back from injury.
Robertson was back last week. He was on the bench last week.
Yeah, he's a machine, Robertson. He can play. He can play all day.
He needs a lithium batteries. He doesn't have long.
Yeah. He ran the most at the Euros, even though Scotland got kicked out early, or any player. So
I feel like not you two personally. I just feel like the media in general, like behind it, is really overhyping the importance of Lukaku. You're putting a lot of pressure on one player in a system of 11 to beat an 11.
I don't think so. I think you could easily say the same about Van Dijk and Liverpool.
See, we're not just putting on Van Dijk, we're putting it on Alisson, we're putting it on Salah, on Jota. Because
last season, as soon as Andrew, you can attest to this, as soon as Van Dijk got injured, all of a sudden, all I heard from Liverpool fans that it was done. There's no title race.
That's a lie. We stayed top of the league for 3 months afterwards.
No, I know you did. I know you did. But I'm talking about from the moment he got injured, I was hearing excuses. This was before you got the rest of your big injuries, by the way. That was such a problem. All I was hearing was we can't get top 4. We had
an excuse. Playing left back for about 3 games on the bounce.
That's not my problem. You did it. That's Klopp's problem. You were playing midfielder at centre back. The injury. I don't use that as an excuse. The injuries, yeah. I don't use it as an excuse. I don't, because I still expected you guys to get top 4, and you did. It's not an achievement. Like it's not. It's bare minimum. Well done.
Yeah, exactly. It is.
All right, let's read some of the comments here. Good to see you, Alan.
You're boss. You're great to have a chat with.
Good to see you, Alan. Finn, that's because it's embedded into Chelsea fans by the club that anyone over 30 is crap.
That comment's just rubbish. Because
I love Finn.
We signed Thiago Silva, who's 36, right? And
he's better than Van Dijk.
Okay.
We think he's crap. So there's 30.
Okay.
No. But 34 winning the European Cup. We thought he was rubbish. Frank Lampard, he got into his 30s. Terry, Ashley Cole. That's just not true. that we think everyone over 30 is crap.
We'll see how good Van Dijk is in his 30s.
Van Dijk is basically in his 30s.
And we'll see how good he is. We'll see how good he is. Because I think if Lukaku tests Van Dijk for the first 10, 15 minutes,
Van Dijk will pocket him.
I don't think so.
Can I ask a genuine question here? Like, just genuinely.
Yeah.
Because as a Liverpool fan, I know what I think about Virgil. Do you really, honestly think that his quality and his form is just going to dive off? You know, the defense.
No, not dive off. He will still be a good defender, but I think, but maybe not even at the point of his injury, because since, is it March or something, or the season you won the league, maybe since March or something like that, from that point up until he got injured, in my opinion, he just looked like an average centre back.
Oh, you're getting kicked off this channel.
Again, maybe there's reasons for that, by the way, because at a point in that season when you won the league, you guys just kind of fell off a bit, and you can say that's about you celebrating the title or whatever. That's fine. Then the season started last season, and then you guys just looked, in my opinion, average. You got beat 7-2 by Aston Villa. Van Dijk played in that game. A few games later, you played Everton, and then he picked up that injury. And all of a sudden, it was kind of used as this excuse to mask things. Like, I don't think Van Dijk is going to come back necessarily the same. I think having an injury like that is going to have an effect on him. And we'll see how good he really is if he can adapt to that. But we'll see how good he really is if he can adapt to that. From your point of view, hopefully he can. But I've seen players that rely massively on their pace and physicality. It's going to be a big adaptation issue for him.
The only way we'll have to see about that. We'll see what happens there, because we can debate that all night, and there's going to be two sides to it. Okay, so so going back to the agenda, last year you guys obviously won 1-0 at Anfield, obviously when there's no fans. Obviously, there's a big difference to going to Anfield when there's fans and when there's no fans. Big difference. You know, Liverpool, obviously one of the best atmospheres in the Premiership when it comes to fans. So there's a big difference between, obviously, and we're one of the clubs that they call the 12th man to read them. You just look at any European night, most other clubs aren't going to produce those kind of same atmospheres. Maybe obviously our Champions League nights not the same as the Premiership nights, even games, but it's still, the crowd's still different. So with fans back, and obviously even last season, there were certain games where you went to and it felt like as if there was no atmosphere. You could hear people shouting and all that kind of stuff, and it takes away in terms of, how we love the sport, how we love the game, because you want to hear the fans shouting. You want to hear that. You don't want to hear the players being able, hearing
the players
shouting, and stuff like that. That's a bit weird. So with fans back, does that make a difference to you? We'll start with you, Brian, because I'm curious to hear what you have to say about this.
It does make a difference. We know Anfield, when it's purely big games, you guys like to make noise and stuff and create, like you said, the 12th man. I'm not sure what you're like when you have to play the lesser size like Norwich and stuff, but in big games, you will turn up. It's going to be how, especially our young attackers. So, for example, Mount, how is he going to be able to handle that sort of pressure? I'm not sure. That's why I'm saying that we're going to draw this game. Will be 1-1, which is not even the worst result in the world, to be fair. But I don't know. I've never been to Liverpool. I've never experienced that atmosphere myself, so I don't necessarily know how true this whole hype thing is with your crowd. Maybe it is real. Again, I'm not. That's not even me disrespecting. I've just never been and experienced it myself, so I can't say for myself. But for them, look, they're professional footballers. If they can't deal with a bit of crowd noise, then they shouldn't be playing. Like Havertz and Werner, they've played in Germany. They know what big crowds are like. Lukaku's played in Italy. He knows what crowds are like. It's not a problem. It shouldn't be a problem.
How about you, Andrew? How do you think in terms of fans back in the stadium? In terms of,
it just makes it, no matter what fans it is, especially these early games, it just makes such a difference. Just the atmosphere. Even if your team's not playing, you just enjoy watching the game a bit more. I hated hearing that artificial noise that they put on the games last year, and then I had to turn that off, but then still hearing like, you could hear like even just I had a weird thing that you could hear the ball being passed around. You could hear it's like people on the side. I think it's great. The fans make a difference. Just the atmosphere is just brilliant. I mean, even like Liverpool's the game against Burnley, the loudness of it, because it's been the first real full house for like 18 months, was a difference. And I agree, Liverpool, they're probably the loudest fans, or definitely up there. I have a theory though when it comes to all fans, that sometimes they're only really loudest for certain games of the season, or something they're really like important games, like throughout the whole game. I think that, like, you'll obviously be loud at the start. Like for this game, I believe the crowd will be throughout the entire game, unless what I hope, something happens that we are totally dominating you, and there's no they can't see anything anyway back for you. But they will make a difference. It will be loud. I do expect. I'm a bit like Prime. I'm like, most of these guys have been in a loud environment before. Even at Anfield, most of them have been in a loud environment before. I expect them to deal with it. It will be a raucous crowd. It will be very loud. But I've been to Anfield on European nights. That is something to behold. The loudness of that is, even if the game wasn't that great, because some of our Champions League games weren't that great in knockout stages, but the loudness of it is something to behold. You can't. I can't really describe it. I always tell people you have to experience it for yourself. I can't describe it. But yeah, we'll make a difference, no doubt. I don't know what difference it will make, but yeah, just the atmosphere. It could even just the away teams could get inspired just having people watch them. Do you know what I mean? It's like they haven't had people really watching them for 18 months in the ground. Even the away fans, because I think the away fans, no matter what ground, are sometimes louder than the home fans throughout the entire game. So it could be even something like that. But yeah, it will make a difference. I can't wait for the atmosphere. I wish there was an option where you could turn the commentators off and just hear the crowd or something like that, because that's what I would like to listen to. But yeah, it'd be a great atmosphere tomorrow, no doubt.
Just read some of the comments in the chat. Oh, you want to say something, Safe?
Yeah, I was going to say, talk about the fans in the stadium, like other players and everything, because they used to playing around, thousands of people. And the thing is, as Andrew just rightfully said, it doesn't matter whether it's the fans scream and your rivals or whatever. You're a performer. You're a professional footballer. You literally thrive off that noise, because there's not. I mean, I know as like a home fan, when you're at Anfield and you're screaming, you're singing all these songs, I know there are boys who have that positive energy and they're going to run with it. But equally, if you're the away team and you've got the home fans screaming and shouting, you pick up on that and you use that again against those fans. It's like, all right, you're going to shout down from the rafters at me. All right, I'm going to shut you up. And that's what the fans do. They don't just egg on the home players, they egg on the away players as well. It works both ways, no matter whether they're singing LA, or whether, the cheer and chants at that team. It doesn't matter what's being sung. It's gonna have the same effect. Well, not the same effect per se, but it's gonna rile them up in different ways, but it's still gonna have that motivation, isn't it? But yeah, the boys are spot on with what they said about having fans back. I think everybody will say the last 18 months without fans in the stadium was absolutely diabolical. There was nothing worse. It was like watching Sunday League with a hangover. That's what it felt like. It was tedious. But especially having full capacity back. Like, I was in Burnley last weekend. Absolutely phenomenal experience being back. And that was a 12:30 kickoff, which I will admit, I'll hold my hand, as a Liverpool fan, are normally really quiet fixtures. Yeah. Very quiet. And as you said, lad, I don't know whether it was you, Pam, who said that certain games you're louder than others.
Yeah.
You're playing Burnley at 12:30 on a Saturday. You're not really going to get the fans, like the Anfield crowd, screaming and roaring. We did this time because it was the first home game. It's not going to stay like that forever. But I think Chelsea coming at 5:30, it's going to be absolutely booming tomorrow. It's a big team. It's our first big team to play up against this season. It's going to have a massive impact on both teams, to be honest.
Agreed.
Yes, just getting some of the comments here. I think obviously Winter Surf was talking about the fact that Courtois for Czech, William turned down UAK for a year.
Sorry, it might be predictive text issues. So.
Finna says 2 clean sheets, valid remarks. Obviously mentioned to Prime. Players leaving a free are no coincidence because the club don't give them contracts they want. All right, so everyone is in the chat, just do smash that like, subscribe button. You have it done. So going back to the game, we saw in the Arsenal game how Lukaku dominated Mari, and I can't remember who Arsenal had that centre back, and how Arsenal were really defended like really amateurish. To be honest, you know, when I was watching that game, I was thinking like it was like you see some elite teams defending better overall. You know, in terms of just like not ball watching, and obviously, you know, I saw the main issue was obviously I don't think Xhaka, whoever Arsenal's DM that day, was stopping the balls getting to Lukaku because he looked really good with the ball at his feet or the ball in the air. So I think the main thing for you is you know the first part is that going to be your game plan? Do you reckon tomorrow? Just get the ball into Lukaku's feet or get the ball down to him to link up play like you did against Arsenal, or you know, and are you going to stick with the back three going into this tomorrow? Or are you going to go to 4-4-2? Like, so we'll start with you, Prime. Like, again, like, you know, in terms of your game plan, what do you think it's going to be tomorrow? And do you think you'll stay with the back three, or will you change that?
I don't expect us to switch to a back four. It'd be weird if we did, but apparently Tuchel and Lukaku, they've said that they've worked on different systems, which is quite interesting because we just brought in Lukaku about 2 weeks ago, barely 2 weeks ago. So it's quite interesting if they've worked on something straight away and they have it in mind to play against Liverpool, which I kind of doubt. I think just keep playing the same way. I think who plays as part of our front line will be interesting. I trust Mount to play in these sort of big games because he will sacrifice himself and, you know, do maybe a man-marking job or work hard off the ball in certain areas. Like, for example, the way Trent plays on that right-hand side, I think Mount should play in order for him to cover our left-hand side and kind of, I guess, keep an eye on him. But who plays with Lukaku in that? I would go with Werner. But I think Werner is the right thing to do, especially with your high line. Werner being able to run in behind that is massive. He played a big part in that when we played Levi's second fixture of the season last season. But I don't know. I think a big issue is left wing back because Chilwell hasn't played this season. Alonso has played first three. He's been brilliant, but he lacks pace. And with Mo Salah having to run in behind it, it's going to be an issue. But I trust what Tuchel is going to do, but I'm not really. There are a few positions I'm not necessarily sure about who's going to play because it's kind of, I guess, up for grabs. So early in the season, it's hard to know what's going to happen. I'm not going to be honest.
What about you, Andrew? Like, are you feeling like your approach is just get the ball to Lukaku, or you're going to change it differently, do you think you'll stay with the back three going into tomorrow, or do you think there'll be a change?
I think you'll stick with the back three. I think that's given. You'll stick with that. I don't know if it'll be more to get it to Lukaku or to get it up to Lukaku. I really don't know. I think the thing is like, it's who plays with Lukaku. I'm in the same mind that I think if Klopp, because I think Klopp will still stick to a high line, that Werner will be the one to benefit from that. I really do. And I would like to see Werner, how he works off Lukaku, bigger man up front. Is he able to convert what he did with Paulson at Leipzig? Something like that. He won't get near enough the amount of space that he would have at Leipzig in this game. But I think if he plays at high line, he will cause you problems in the sense that you'll have to think about, you know, just keeping someone back or not going fully up front. I think Mount will start because Mount's a hard. He's not. Anyone tells you Mount's not a 10. He's not a can. He's a hard-working 8. And what Tuchel liked to do last season in the Man City semi-final and in the Real Madrid, both legs. He dropped Mount a bit deeper to do like a man-marking job. He man-marked Fernandinho out of that semi-final, and him along with Kante pushed Kroos and Modric so far back in those leg games that you thought they were playing sweeper. So he could match it up that way, and then look to hit on the break to a Lukaku or a Werner. I think what's fascinating as well was tomorrow is the benches as well, because I think you have a good first 11, or what if your first 11 is up to 15, 16 players maybe. But I think our squad is stronger overall, so I think our bench would be stronger overall. So it'd be interesting to see who he leaves off the bench. So I would have, because he could still bring on Havertz, bring on Ziyech, bring on Kovacic to put them in all in the free, just bring them on essentially. So it could be that could be important as well. The left wing back is an issue. As much as Alonso has played well, sometimes he's able to fool Chelsea fans by having like 2 or 3 good performances in a row, and he's able to live off them for the next 2 months when he plays rubbish. Chilwell has not played a game since the Champions League final. Remember, he didn't play a single minute in the Euros. So it'll be interesting if he drops him back in there for his very first game of the season. But near enough, I think me and Prime got near enough the same team that's going to trot out there tomorrow, Anfield. But it's going to be fascinating. The midfield battle for me is going to be key tomorrow, I think.
I agree with that. Cheddar's just in the chat says it's a 50-50 game. I have no idea of the result. I think a lot of people are thinking it is going to be a 50-50 game. It's early on. Just going to you guys, do you think it's too early for this to be seen as pivotal in the title race? You start with you, Prime. Or is this like,
No.
both teams take a draw and it's fine? Or do you think it's like too early to be saying like it's a title decider kind of thing?
It's only 3 games in. Ideally, no one wants to lose. If it's a draw, both teams will take it. But when we have City, who lost their first game of the season, Man United, who I put in the title race even before Ronaldo, they drew their second game. I think it's a thing of, both teams have 6 points. If it's a draw, that's fine. For us, if obviously it's a bonus if one of us wins, but I think the priority is going into this not to lose. But for anyone to say you win this game and you're ahead in the title race, or you've won the title, or it's a title decider, I think it's a bit naive, because we've seen teams have good starts to the season before, and then all of a sudden it switches and someone else ends up winning. The season we won under Conte, we started quite poorly, and Spurs started brightly, and then Chelsea won the league. Last season, City started poorly. City ended up winning. It's way too early to decide now.
I agree with that. What about you, Andrew? How do you see it?
I would normally say no. It's just the problem is our first 7 games, either side, the first game against Palace and the last game against Southampton. We've got Arsenal. We had Arsenal. We've got you. After the international break, we've got Villa, Man City, and Spurs. So that I've never seen us have that run of opening games before, and I'm hesitant to say title decider. I wouldn't say title decider. It's very early, only because if it goes ahead, I mean, we're both going to be affected by the AFCON in January if it goes ahead. You guys obviously with Mane and Salah, us with Mendy.
We'll be fine.
Possibly Ziyech. No, but I'm just saying, I don't know. And then, is this a goal? Is this like a last season for Ronaldo? He's coming in. It's one of those things. It's really hard. I don't like to call it early unless we go on something like a ridiculous 10-match opening winning run, because we have done that before, but a long time ago. Then I would say it's not a title decider. But it's one of those. It will dent whoever loses. It will dent their fans' pride a bit. So.
True. Good points. And how? So going next. What's your lineup? Start with you, Prime. What's your lineup for tomorrow?
Mendy in goal.
Of course.
Well, it's close. It's close, but I'll give it to Mendy. Mendy in goal. Aspie, Rudiger, Christensen. Silva hasn't played, and I'm not going to throw him in. Reece James at right wing back. See, I don't know, because I assumed Tomiskas would play. I didn't think Robertson was fit. But now you said Robertson will probably end up playing. I don't know whether or not to play James. But because Thiago Silva hasn't played at all, I'm not going to throw him in. That's a tough one. But yeah, I'll go at James at right wing back. I'll play Alonso at left wing back just because I don't want to risk it with Chilwell. If he plays and he's caught in a foot chase with Salah and he picks up a hamstring, it's not worth it for me. Kante and Jorginho in midfield, and a three of Mount, Werner, and Lukaku.
Andrew?
It's the same apart from Chilwell plays instead of Alonso.
Okay.
It's the same. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'm happy with either one, to be fair. It's not. It is.
Right. Okay, so we're going to be on to Liverpool side, so we'll come back to you guys with a few more questions. So Sophie, going into Liverpool's point of view, we've had obviously 2 wins and a bounce. How are you feeling in terms of going into this game for Chelsea?
So, it's important really not to overhype those 2 wins, to be honest, because let's be honest, it was Norwich and it was Burnley. They're not big teams that we expect to beat them. You expect Liverpool to pull a win against those teams, don't you? It's just what you expect to happen. However, for me, the importance hasn't been who we've beaten. It's been the performances we've put in. The way our boys have been very cohesive, very fluid, and the way that they've worked together, the communication that's returned since having our starting 11 return. For me, that's what's been pivotal and given the boys the confidence back. Because I keep saying it the last 18 months, but you can't forget the last 18 months has happened. We have been such a disconjointed side. We've had so many upheavals and changes that our players have had to get used to a different player in a position they're used to having a partner, and that partner's been taken away from them and they've got somebody else, which in any team would cause disruption. So now having their usual teammates around them again is going to give them confidence. And for me, that's what's important going in to take from the last 2 wins. The wins are great, but like I said, let's not overhype who we played. It wasn't like we beat Chelsea and United. We beat, fucking Norwich and Burnley. Norwich, who prime before, we said before, we slapped them around on a yearly basis. Don't know why they bothered, appearing. Burnley are normally a team that we can either scrape a draw or a win from. We'll back them around a little bit as well. You can't overhype that. The important part to take from that is the performance and the confidence it's going to give the lads going into, because getting 2 wins, 2 clean sheets on the bounce, going into a big game, is going to give you that confidence, isn't it? It's going to give you that little bit of a mentality of, all right, yeah, this is how we do it again. Oh, yeah, I've remembered how to play football. So for me, that's what's important to take into tomorrow, definitely, more so than the wins, if that makes sense. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, it does. I agree with you there. I do think that we need to. Tomorrow's going to be acid tests for us, for both sides, which I'm like to call on it. So obviously, last we lost 1-0 to Chelsea at home. That was obviously, I don't remember that game that much. But I don't think it was a good performance from us realistically. But I don't remember that much. But obviously, with fans now tomorrow, how big a role are you expecting our fans to play tomorrow in terms of some evening kickoff, under the lights? How big a role are you expecting them?
I'm sorry, but that song came into my head. Under the lights, that came into my head then. Like, that's really bad. But that's what came into my head. Look, I said it before. I don't really want to rehash the same thing I said. After the boys mentioned, the importance of fans before, I said my piece of how important it's going to be. There's no denying it. Nobody would sit here in the right mind who watches football and say that fans aren't going to have a big impact tomorrow, that Chelsea players aren't going to feel the weight of a full Anfield tomorrow. They are going to be relying heavily on their away supporters to give them that boost as well. And I've got no doubt that the Chelsea fans will do the same. I heard the Burnley fans, there were only a couple of thousand Burnley fans. They looked like there was 10 of them from where I was sitting. But it felt like half the stadium was full at some point when they sang. And I'm imagining Chelsea will do the same tomorrow, and we'll do the same to them, and it'll be, here and there, we'll sing, they'll sing, and that's the way it will be. Fans are going to be important no matter who they are tomorrow. I think we've got the home advantage, but we've seen before in the Premier League, the home advantage doesn't always benefit the home team. Like I said before, sometimes the rival team picks up on the energy that the fans are putting out there and uses it against them. So it's a massive impact tomorrow, but how it impacts will remain to be seen. We'll see come kick off. But
I think that's true. But it will be, in terms of atmosphere from both sides, it's going to be good to see two big clubs going for it at Anfield, with fans behind both teams. It's been a while since we've seen that kind of game. Because I didn't like last season, to be honest, with no fans. So going into this game, all the talk has been about Lukaku this, Lukaku that. All that's what the media's going by. Like how all the pundits, when like Paul Merson or Redknapp has spoken about this game, it's been about Lukaku this, Lukaku that. So we've spoken about Lukaku, and we know he's a great player. We've spoken about him already, so we're not going to go there. But what they've not mentioned at all is, from Liverpool point of view, the fact that Salah, Jota, Mane, and Bobby have all scored start season strongly. The fact that Jota, his goals to game ratio at Liverpool is phenomenal in terms of like how many goals he's scoring. I think in 19 starts or something, he scored must be 13 or 14 goals or something. It's ridiculous, And the fact he performs against the big clubs as well, when he has played, performs against the big teams as well. But no one's really talking about our forward line, how Chelsea with the back three, which Liverpool forwards like to come across and play against. No one's talking about that. So do you think that's going to help us tomorrow? The fact that all the talk is about how Van Dijk and Matip going to handle Lukaku, or do you think that plays a part? It's going to play a part for us tomorrow.
No, it's irrelevant. It's genuine. All the hype about Lukaku is because Lukaku's just signed. He's the new blood. If we just signed a new forward, all the hype would be around our new forward. They're hyping and talk at the media talk about Lukaku, and rightfully so. He's come back to the Premier League after being rejected by United. He's gone over to Europe and he's done a really good job, and he's come back to Chelsea and he's doing another really good job, and he's showing his work. That's why the media are hyping him up. And I understand why the media, therefore, all the focus is on Liverpool's defence, because that's who he's going to be coming up against. He's not going to be going toe-to-toe with Mo Salah. Is he the opposite end of the fucking pitch, for crying out loud? Your point of concern is going to be, is our defence going to be able to manage him? I'm sorry, I've got away with words. I just say that.
No, you're right. Keep going.
That's good. I just say
I just say it how it is. I do apologise. But I understand why the focus has been on our defence. And the reason why nobody's talking about the Liverpool front three is because the Liverpool front three is established. We know what they are capable of. We know what they can do. It's expected now. For me, I don't care. I couldn't give two flying shits if you sit there and put in the media, Mo Salah's the best thing since sliced bread. I know he's the best thing since sliced bread. I don't care what you think. I know he is. And you know what? We see it all the time, don't we? Now that Ronaldo signed, just to go back onto United quickly, now that Ronaldo signed back for United, in 118, they've both got 118 goals. Only Salah's done it in 50 games. And it's like nobody scored more Premier League goals except Mohamed Salah. Nobody's done this except Mohamed Salah. We know what Salah's capable of. We know what Mane's capable of. We've seen them win accolade after accolade after accolade year after year. Salah's a 5-season wonder, for Christ's sake. Mane is absolutely brilliant. Bobby, we know what Bobby brings. He's not really a goal scorer. He's more the builder, the creator. And now we've got Jota. There's a reason we call him Jota the Slotter. There's a reason when we put his name, we put two footballs in the O's instead. He's clinical. He's fast. And teams haven't figured him out yet. You say one comment over there and I'm kicking you out this chat again. Teams haven't really figured out Jota yet, have they? You know that when you're playing Salah, you need three defenders to mark him off. You know that Mane is going to cut in from the left. You know how this is going to play out. You know that Bobby's going to try and wangle his way through the midfield and in through the centre of the box and tap it in. Jota, because he's so versatile, he can play left, right, central. you don't quite know where he's going to be just yet. They haven't figured him out. He's not been bled in enough. So for me, if anyone wants to talk about a Liverpool forward, you only want to topic of conversation with Jota, but you're only going to talk about Jota if you know he's going to start. And that's what it is.
Yeah, going off. I think that's a good point there.
You can't say nothing. You stay quiet.
Going off that.
Actually, yeah, I won't speak it.
No, I just no. The reason no one's talking about the reason no one's talking about Salah or Mane is because they're taken for granted because they've been here for years. You know, we know Salah. People were, I don't know why, people were slagging off Salah last season, but he got 20 plus goals again. He's got 20 plus goals in the Premier League. He missed it earlier. Yeah,
we have
but yeah, no one knows. But you know, I think everyone knows that Salah's a big game player. You know, he's going to score 20 plus goals again, even when apparently he had a bad season last year. You know, he's still got 20 plus league goals again. He's one of the greatest players to ever play in the Premier League. Goal scorer, whatever you want to say about him. I don't care if he's just a goal scorer. He's one of the greatest goal scorers to ever play in the league. That's what the game's all about. But you're right. If we hadn't signed a striker, there would be more like on Salah or something because we haven't got a forward to match like in terms of profile or anything like that. So you know, I'm glad when the press doesn't talk about our players. I don't care. You know, I don't know why anyone cares when they talk about the players. It's like just get on with it. That's what I see.
So, Sophie, what's our approach for tomorrow to get a win? Because I don't want a draw. I want us to get a win tomorrow. What's the approach in this?
Honestly, my approach, fucking batter them. Batter them back down to London where they belong. Remind them of why they weren't even in the conversation for being on the pitch. Remind them why they've only got, 2 Champions Leagues? And you've only really got one in a league. The Champions League, I didn't really
Wait. Are you saying?
I'm saying that just to wind you up.
Okay. I was about to say,
no, because your league title doesn't count either. So.
I know. I'm saying it. I just wanted to see your faces because apparently you both went.
Nearly picked. Yeah.
You nearly picked more, Andrew.
It's like I went. I
forgot what I was saying. I just wanted to wind the boys up.
It worked.
Whatever it was. But
Liverpool winning. What do you need?
You
said you were going to batter us, yeah.
No, my genuine approach to this is it needs to be a very strong defensive backline because as much as we've come up against Lukaku before, we do need to worry about Lukaku. But not only him, whoever he puts on alongside him, it's not just a Lukaku show. There are 10 other players on that pitch that we need to be mindful of. Okay, Chelsea are not a Burnley. Chelsea are not a Norwich. They are going to come at us and they are going to give us everything they've got. The first 20 minutes of that game are going to be so scrappy and high intensity while you try to figure out who's dominating that game, who's dominating that first half. And it's unfortunately that's the way it's going to be. It's going to be a lot of flying tackles. It's going to be up and down the pitch. A lot of dispossession and repossession. That's the way it's going to be. For me, you need to have that very strong defensive backline, but that midfield's got to be perfectly balanced. We need to have Henderson on in that because he's the pivotal point for me. Like he's the linchpin in between the middle of it, and then you've got 2 either side who need to balance it out. We need somebody who's a bit more defensively, a bit more holding, can make those retrievals, and then we need somebody who's more counter-pressing or attacking, more feeding the ball to the front three. For me, the most of that game is going to be held in the midfield. If Chelsea dominate our midfield, we are in a lot of trouble. And that's the way it is. I'm not worried about our strikers. I'm not worried about our defence. It's just balancing that midfield because there's been so much imbalance in it recently. Chelsea could really capitalise on that and absolutely destroy us for it. And equally, we could go out with a really solid midfield and shut Chelsea out, and then they can't do nothing either. They can't break through. It is all about that midfield. Our midfield and your midfield is it's going to be a battle of the fittest, really, isn't it? It's going to be a head-to-head, toe-to-toe type battle. So it's got to be a strong performance, but it's got to be a balanced midfield. That's the pivotal point for me, the battle.
What is wrong with, or I guess not right with your midfield? Because we saw you guys, win the Champions League and then you won the Prem with Henderson, Fabinho and Wijnaldum. Obviously, Wijnaldum's gone.
Yeah.
But you have Thiago now. What is the issue? Because
Thiago's not been fit.
No, it's not. There's nothing wrong with our midfield. When I say the
Unfit.
issue with our midfield is the issue that I have is it's a good issue to have because we went. If you remember, like 2-3 seasons ago, it was the Brexit midfield, the James Milner, the Henderson, the Genie. It was the Brexit midfield. Then we suddenly got an influx of different types of players, and we got Naby, but Naby was injured. Then we had Ox, but Ox was injured. And we've never had, even though we've got a solid front three, and now we've had a Jota. We've had a solid back four. Now we've added Tomiskas and Canate. It's always been, we knew who those two front lines. The only debate has always been who's going to play midfield. It's the only room where we've gone, well, who are you going to play? And there's nothing wrong with Thiago. Thiago is absolutely fantastic. It's not a problem as an issue. It's a good problem. Like, who are we going to play? Out of all these midfielders we've got? Because before then, it was, you knew Genie was going to play, Henzo was going to play, and Fabinho was going to play. Now we haven't got Genie. We've kind of got an option. Do we go for Naby Keita, who's got a good couple of, games under his belt, got a lot of fitness now? Do we keep playing him while he's fit? He's more counter-pressing, he's forward-thinking. Or do we want to go with Thiago, who's a little bit more of a seasoned pro and can hold out Chelsea? He's decorated in European trophies. Or do we want to put Harvey Elliott on, who's really quick and clinical and feeds the ball through to Mohamed Salah? It's a good problem to have.
But
it's getting that balance right.
I'm assuming then it depends on the way you guys want to play. Because if you want to, I guess, layman's terms, if you want to outwork us in midfield, you can't really play Thiago. However, if you just want to keep possession of the ball, then Thiago has to play with, I don't know, Fabinho maybe, or Henderson. Someone else was playing. Yeah, so I guess
I think
but it depends on how you guys want to, I guess, approach the game.
Yeah, and it depends how you approach the game as well, because if you're going to come running at us like a bull in a china shop, we're obviously going to want to put Thiago on and hold you out. But if you're going to sit back and let us come to you and let us try and make a break for it and counter, then obviously we're not going to want Thiago for that, are we? We're going to want, not Genie. Oh my God, I've got Genie on here. We're going to want, Naby Keita. We're going to want Harvey Elliott for those situations. But it really depends on whatever Klopp thinks, however you've played the last few games, however they've looked at it in training and have perceived what's going to happen will be what midfield he puts up. But he might put out Thiago, Henderson and Fabinho, and then come 60 minutes in, it's like, okay, this really isn't working. We've got that ability to change, and it changes the entire dynamic of the team. We go from a holding team waiting on the counter to a very ultra attacking team, and that's the beauty of the midfield. And that's why when I say it's a problem, it's not a problem. It's a nice thing to have that we've never had the liberty of before. But it depends entirely on how you're going to play.
Yeah. Let's read some of the comments here. Chris Wells he just wants to win, doesn't really care how we do it. If he speaks about the chance to win, we call negative. Good evening, Ginny. Good to see you, mate. Just here to calm Sophie down.
Too late. I'm already angry.
So obviously, everyone in the chat, do smash the like, subscribe button. You haven't done. We appreciate your support. So we're just going to move to team. We just start line up for tomorrow, Sophie.
Line up for tomorrow. Same back and forth as always, but I am going to put Robbo in over Tomiskas, even though Tomiskas has a fantastic run. For me, with it being Chelsea, Tomiskas is very good, but he's scrappy. He's like Scrappy Doo. He's feisty. We love him. But when you're going up against a bigger team, obviously, like I said before, it's Burnley and Norwich that he's played. You can afford to have a scrappy left back there because you know that Virgil can make those recoveries and Alisson if needed. However, we're going against a seasoned team who we've played many, many a times. It's not going to be physically viable. It's not going to be the best move, in my opinion. What a scrappy, someone who's just learning the ropes type thing. As amazing as he's been, and it was my man of the match against Burnley. I think if Robbo's fit and Robbo can play the game, whack Robbo on. He knows exactly how to do it, and especially with Lukaku coming down, with Havertz and all those types of strikers who are very, very quick. You're going to want someone who's not scrappy, like fighting for the ball on the floor. You want someone who's clinical, bam, bam, done. Ball's cleared. That's what you want. Midfield, my midfield that I went for was Kenzo, Fabinho, and Naby. Like I said, I think that gives a good balance. You've got the leader in the middle, you've got the controlling aspect and Fabinho, and then you've got the attack and creative passing from Naby Keita, who equally has played really well. Front three, drop Bobby off for Jota, same two. That's can't drop Jota.
Yeah, I think my team's more or less the same. I think if Thiago was fit and had played to start the season off, then I think he would start tomorrow. But because he's not fit, he's just come back really. That's the reason why he's not going to start tomorrow. So otherwise, I do think it will be Fabinho, Hendo, and Keita midfield. I'd be very surprised if he played Harvey Elliott for this game. This is a big match. As good as he did against Burnley. But yeah, I think that's going to be the team. So we're just going to go score predictions for everyone. We'll start with you, Andrew. What's the score prediction?
I'm going 1-0 Chelsea.
Okay.
Listen. I might banter with some Liverpool fans because they've got not you two, but some Liverpool fans have got big mouths and said they were going to smack us up. But I've got respect for the Liverpool team and I've got respect for Klopp. Listen, I think 1-0 away at Anfield this season, if anyone gets that, is a fantastic result. I'm just sorry, I just think it is. And to get Anfield, if we win and to get Anfield out the way so early in the season, I mean that's like a bonus to me. Do you know what I mean? To get Anfield away win Anfield so early in the season, I would take that with both hands. I think 1-0 just only because I think so. The midfield battle for me is going to be so key. If we control that and we go 1-0 up, we're a very hard team to lose that lead. We're very hard to lose that lead. He will shuffle that pack. He will, if it goes deeper in, he will start to shove a bit sharp shot, bring Kovacic on, something like that. He will do that. But that's if we control the midfield. I'm only thinking that way. If we control the midfield, I think we will win this game, and I think we'll win it by just the one goal, so 1-0 to me.
Okay, before I go to you, Prime, Doug says big up Prime. Chris Wells' team, he had Alisson, Trent, Matic, Van Dijk, Robertson, Fabinho, Henderson, Thiago, Salah, Jota, Mane. Doug says the Winter Surfer. Big up, obviously. Chris Wells, what about legend James Milner? I think what's interesting was Ginny 20. He had like a bold one. He had Jota, Firmino, and Mane and Salah all playing. That's a bold team to go against Chelsea.
No chance.
That's a bold team.
Klopp's not that stupid. He won't.
Klopp does that.
That's suicide.
Sorry.
If Klopp does that, we might as well just write our own ticket out and just leave.
That's a suicide team. I like the positivity. Suicide. Chris Wells says he's going for 2-0. Doug's going 2-0 Liverpool. Chris Wells, the junior for Ballon d'Or. Jeannie says 5-1 and Klopp picks my team. What's your score prediction?
1-1. Both managers are going to be wary about not losing more than anything else. So yeah, I think 1-1 is a good result. I'll take that, to be fair, because I don't think beating you guys right now is not necessarily that important. Because there's other games we have coming up that are a lot more winnable. Even the bigger games we have to play. Beating City, City's more beatable. We have Spurs as well. So yeah, I'll take a 1-1. I think Werner probably might score. As well, so.
Okay.
I think Anfield. Let me just say, I think Anfield for us is the hardest away game this season. It doesn't even come close. It's not City.
At least it's out the way.
At
least it's out the way then.
Yeah, but just generally, if we were even going in, if it's November, I think it's the hardest away game for us. That I think on paper, I'm not trying to be arrogant or anything, but I feel more confident going to, even with Ronaldo there, going to Old Trafford, going to the Etihad, going to that toilet bowl Spurs. But, I feel, yeah, I'm sorry, I do, Prime. You need to get more confidence in your team. You really do.
No, but I know. Listen, I already said I trust my team against anyone in the world, but we can't. You also have to think realistically as well. Like Ronaldo at United do pose a threat.
I'm not saying they don't. I just feel that Anfield, given everything, the team, the manager, the atmosphere.
It's a bitch of a ground.
It's everything. Yeah,
I
we don't have a great record there.
I think you guys put too much thing into Anfield.
And I think you put too much emphasis on the importance of your team in general, but here we are.
I didn't say my team's important. I
trust my team against anyone in the world. You are overinflating the importance of Chelsea.
If anyone didn't have that kind of confidence,
I just trust my manager.
And I trust my ground. Yeah. And I trust my manager and my players and my fellow supporters to make it a bitch of a ground. There's a reason. And this, you're entitled to your opinion. It's wrong, but you're entitled to your opinion.
I've never been to Liverpool, so I don't know.
There is a reason that managers, players, pundits, ex-players all around the world hate coming to Anfield because it's nicknamed a bitch of a ground to play at. Pep Guardiola himself, he turned around in an interview not so long ago and said, playing at Anfield is the worst place to play because when they score, for the next 5 minutes, they swarm you and you feel like you are suffocating because they're everywhere. Even Sir Alex Ferguson himself said he never felt safe at Anfield. So don't give me that shit that you feel safe at Anfield because no one does. It's like when we go to Old Trafford, I don't feel safe at Old Trafford because it's a bitch of a ground for us. But to write off the importance of it.
I didn't say I feel safe at Anfield. I just, again, like I said, I haven't been there, so I don't know. But I don't I think the whole thing with Anfield, I don't know. I don't know how true it is because I've never been there. I haven't experienced it for myself, and I can't speak on something.
We'll be here all night. You're two different sides. So we'll be here all night.
But I'm just saying, until you've been there, you can't say no.
Oh yeah.
I can't say it's amazing either.
We'll be all night. Two different sides.
You shush. I'm
not.
not.
We've spread out two different sides. You're not going to get anywhere. So what's the score for this?
It's nice to have a conversation with somebody. I'm enjoying myself. Shut
up. It's up, Sophie. We can talk about this off. It's fine.
I'll message you later.
Score line, Sophie.
2-1.
2-1. Okay. Yeah. I'm going for 2-1 as well. Jack Mack says here.
Dying in the corner.
Jack Mack just says 3-1. Good to see you, Annie. Welcome on the channel. Just quickly before we wrap up, hopefully I think we have time for this. Combine 11. So
absolutely fucking not.
What formation?
Are you sure you want to do that? Because you might be here for a very long time.
No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Combined way too long. It's way too long.
I did see a combined 11. I did see a combined 11 earlier in the week. It was Liverpool with just Lukaku up front.
Yeah, that would be
it. That's what it was.
I think you're right. We were here long enough. We're too long. Actually,
I think it'll be fun. I want to do it. It's just we need parameters. Is it based off last season's form? Is that or are we going off ability? What is the parameters?
I'm not playing.
I think probably all night. I think it would cause a lot of debate.
Every position would be like a half an hour dissertation or something like that.
Yeah, it will be. Actually, you're right. And it has gone past like eight over an hour now. All right. Okay. So I think that's obviously a good place to wrap up. Like it's been a good show having both of you on, Prime and Andrew. We'll obviously love to get you guys back on for the Chelsea away game. So we'll message you for those ones to get you back on because it's a good laugh for you guys. And obviously, So I don't wish you luck for tomorrow, but wish you luck for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So
I hope you fail.
May I ask why? Because it's not just in this chat. Liverpool fans online, I've seen them on other channels and stuff. Why do they think they'll batter Chelsea? I've seen 2-0, 3-0. Someone here said 4-1, I think. Like, why do you guys think you'll batter us? Not you guys, but I mean your fan base.
I think there's a difference. Like, there's some Liverpool fan base who go over the top. There's always those ones always, and then there's more practical ones.
A lot of the time, I'm going to put myself on this. A lot of the time, Liverpool fans or Scousers, we will give those type of results just to wind you up, just to see if you bite. because there's nothing more funny than when you are like a sarcastic ass and you're going, "We're gonna batter you 6-0," and you get Chelsea fans just go, "No, you're not, no, you're not," and start dragging out stats from 2007, and you're like, "Okay, honey, calm down."
No. I mean, in terms of, because I've seen people give I understand the banter, but I've seen people give realistic answer. I've seen people have actual discussions, and they're still giving 2-0s, 3-0s. So I don't understand. I know, but I just don't understand why it'll be a batter. I don't think anyone's going to batter each other. I don't think I don't think Chelsea will batter you guys either.
It's just the thing, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, I think
a lot of the time people just want to go in with that confidence, don't they?
Yeah.
So
I think you always will get that.
I don't put much stock in it, to be honest. A prediction is just a bit of light-hearted fun for me. Like,
Yeah.
if you get it right, well done. If you didn't, well, what?
Yeah. All right. So we'll wrap up there. It's good. The chat's been buzzing. Everyone's been great in the chat. Do smash that like, subscribe. We'll be back tomorrow at 5:30 for live watch along, and then we have the post match Sunday at 7:00. So do check those out. Well, as I said before, Andrew and Prime, it's been awesome having you guys on.
Thank you very much.
And we will hope you enjoy the match tomorrow. Sophie, it's been a pleasure as well, as always. So I'll see you Sunday.
Are you cutting my favourite part of the show out?
Yeah, I think it's too long for trivia. Tonight. Are you sitting in trivia?
I can't wait for the Yanks to come back, because they're on my side half the time. I can't wait for the boys to come back because you just pick on me. I've had enough of this shit.
I know. I think we'll end it there tonight. Right. Otherwise, yeah, so it's been nice. It's been great. Have a great match for you guys tomorrow. And everyone else, enjoy the match tomorrow and have a great evening. Otherwise, we'll see you guys all soon.
Yes.
Please subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe.